issuance of an amount not to exceed $8,500,000 Wilson County, Texas certificate of obligation, series 2014. And you two are the only two here that has participated in this before, so y'all explain it to us like we was in kindergarten.
Well, I'll jump in and start to kind of give the board a briefing on what's transpired. You know, in fact, I'll just do it the whole thing for our press people and friends in the back. As you know, the Commissioners Court authorized us to go forward with an $8.5 million certificate of obligation last summer. That election, that notice of intent generated a petition forcing us to an election. So we're selling something that's a little different animal. It's voted certificates of obligation as opposed to voted general obligation bonds or the more traditional non-voted certificates of obligation. We went out and got ratings last fall anticipating selling these bonds in August. And the ratings that we got were A-. And we proceeded to sell the bonds, and then we got forced to the election. So we had to wait until November the 4th. Then you canvass election returns around the 12th or so of November. You have to wait 30 days under state law to pass what's called an election contestation period. So we really weren't in a position to sell the bonds before about the middle of December. And by then, that's not a particularly good time to sell bonds because of people taking Christmas break and doing year-end portfolio realignments. There's an old adage my grandfather used to say, better lucky than smart. Two things happened between December and now. Number one, despite everything that you see on the 5 o'clock news, the economy is not getting better. We saw some unemployment numbers come out about 10 days ago that was misleading at the least. The unemployment rate fell from 7% down to 6.7%. The 5 o'clock news pointed that out as big positive news. But the fact of the matter is they were anticipating 194,000 jobs would be created, and in fact only about 86,000 jobs were created. The reason the unemployment rate fell was because that many people vacated the workforce entirely. So the markets have actually been rallying in terms of bond markets. The stock market, as you guys have seen, has lost about almost 1,000 points in the last 10 or so days. Interest rates have actually been going down as a function of that. So that's one thing that happened. The second thing that happened was that the rating agency implemented new rating criteria effective January the 1st. Now, you may recall that I was a little less than enamored with the A- rating that we got last August. I felt like that we probably should have gotten a full A. Their action was that we were just teetering on the A, and they opted for the more conservative A-. Well, Standard & Poor's started up with new rating criteria effective January the 1st. Because it had been so long since we had done the rating transaction, the rating call, we scheduled another rating call under the new criteria. And unfortunately, Tom was out of town, but Verna stepped in as a representative of the county in a transitional mode. And she, of course, was with us on the rating call last fall. And she did an excellent job along with Kristen Levis in the auditor's office. And we got a bond rating increase from A- to a full A. So let's put that in the newspaper.
So what does that do to their interest rate?
That lowers their interest rate even further. The difference between a full A versus an A- has got to be at least 10 or 12 basis points, because it puts you in a category where more of these nationally managed funds will buy your bonds, because a lot of them will not buy anything that's rated less than a single A. So this gets you over that hump and puts you in a position where more people, under the rules of their particular equity fund or bond funds, were eligible to buy your bonds. The result has been that we have been, since last summer, estimating your interest rates on these bonds at 4%. Now, we always knew that was conservative because we didn't want to, tell the voters a number that we couldn't hit. But we went through 4% quite handily. First Southwest Company and Samco Capital Markets got in the markets this morning with us on your debt. And to cut to the fun part, the true interest cost on these bonds meaning the cost after you take into consideration the cost of issuance, Mr. Collins' fees, my fees, Attorney General's fees, the rating agency's fees, all of that, the insurance company's fees, the underwriter's fees, when you take into consideration all the costs associated with the transaction. Are you ready? Got your pencil sharp? 3.306. That's almost 3/4% lower interest rate than we had been estimating last fall. Now, against $8.5 million, that translates into some money. So the taxpayers really got a great deal here. Because of the couponing that was required to get the investors comfortable, the par value of your bonds are going to be $8,215,000. But don't be fooled by that. The deposit to the construction account is a full $8.5 million. We actually produced enough premium to pay all the cost of issuance, so that you're getting the cost of issuance paid, you're getting $8.5 million deposited to your construction account, and you're gonna have, all that's happening at an interest rate of 3.306. So we're very excited about that. Think that that's a great deal, and we certainly, as your financial advisors, would recommend that you accept the offer of the underwriters in that regard. Now, Mr. Pollen has prepared the order, and he can explain the legalities.
First, on the par amount, while it is lower because of the premium, you're still considered issuing the full amount of your published notice of 8.5.
Because we're putting 8.5 real money in your bank account.
The order has all of the numbers that Bob was able to negotiate with the underwriters. And I've inserted that. It sent me a list of each of the maturities, each of the certificates, and what the interest rates were. And so we incorporated those into this document. The document is set up primarily, if you look at page 201, you're agreeing to levy a tax to pay these every year. 201, page back. We've also had a pledge for revenues from the landfill not to exceed $1,000 to meet another statutory requirement in order to issue certificates. Some of the items that they were funding seem to have revenue tax. But the main point, if you look on 3.02, and 3.01, it authorizes what we're issuing the bonds for, the amount, the par amount. And 3.02 will have each of the maturities and the interest rate associated with that. Now, you will notice the various maturities have different interest rates. The rate that Bob just explained to you is that composite. So it's the average.
The average
interest rate.
But these interest rates are fixed.
These are fixed and they will not change.
So there, and what I recall from our initial conversation was that after the first 10 years, we could only make whatever the normal payment is. After 10 years, then if we were interested in accelerating, that was available to us.
Yes, sir. The
That's
bonds are
still-
callable in 10 years at par, which means with no prepayment penalty.
So obviously, depending on what the status of the county is at that point, it would behoove us because of the way the interest rate is here.
But potentially, markets change. But when you get out to the call date, you're looking at premiums or interest coupons, rather, 3.5% and 4%. It is entirely possible that by then you're only going to have 10 years left on your bonds. You're going to be what we call shorter on the yield curve. So all other things being equal, we could refinance and save you money. But I'll be honest with you, right now, when you're issuing at 3.30%, we are at near 40-year lows in the interest rate market, and,
That's what I was fixing to say. You've been doing this how many years now?
30 years, 31 years.
And the market as low as it's ever been, and at that time, we may be 6% and be
Right,
bad.
I think this could well look like
Yeah.
really cheap money.
Well, it's cheap money today. If you get back into the average rates, this is really gonna look cheap. I've done bonds, and of course, so has Tom, back in the eighties, when people were excited to get 8% interest rate on their tax exempt debt. So this is a stellar deal. The likelihood of you wanting to refinance this are not great. One of the reasons, I guess I should say, and the treasurer knows this, the flip side of these low interest rates on the borrowing side is your investments aren't getting very much money. You're getting a quarter of 1% if you're lucky. By the time these bonds are callable, you may have enough cash in the bank to pay off the bonds, but if you're earning 6% on that, you don't want to pay off 4% debt. So we just have to look at the market
That is-
conditions at the time.
That is going to function as a financial advisor. Bob will look and be at telling you when you're getting approaching that, if something looks like it's subject to call, and if it would be to your benefit. And it may be that you had some money and you want to just pay off some of it, he will advise you how to do that. But right now, just sit and be glad you got the lowest rates we had.
Well, he did just that on our jail bond.
Yes, we refinance a jail bond.
Oh, I've got a question. I don't know, this is really a big step and everything, and we've got a quorum here. Is it gonna matter that we have one commissioner missing?
No, it takes, the state law provides, you've got to have at least 3 members of the court. And you have to have at least 3 members vote for the certificates. That's the only requirement. There's a lot of information about just the process and the issues. But what we want to focus in on is, you talked about the call provision, that's in Article 4, beginning of page 17, about when you can call them. Our main issue is going to be, which we're going to keep, on page 28 is the information about the sale to the underwriters. We have a contract from the underwriter, which will be signed to put all this into a formal contract.
Part of the terms of that contract is that they deliver a good faith check to the commissioners. And here it is. It's 2% of the par value of the bonds. Now, the way that this works is that this is a cashier's check, but we keep the check uncashed. We don't cash it, we just hold the check. The day that we close the bonds, they're gonna wire transfer to the county's bank accounts all the money required. At that time, we'll endorse the check and send it back to them. We only get to cash this if they fail to close, which in 31 years, I've never had that happen to me before. Now, I can leave this with the auditor, I can leave it with the treasurer, or I can put it back in my safe and just keep it until it's.
He can't leave it with you.
I can put it in this.
Okay, so we've got to, when we get ready to close, we got to be able to put our hands on it and get it back.
Yes, okay, what day are we gonna close?
The
29.
29th of
What's the-
January?
February 20th.
February 20th, I'm
February
sorry, I'm thinking of
20th.
the transaction.
Okay,
February 20th.
February 20th.
But it's very important because people get testy if they don't get their cashier's check back. So you gotta know where you put it. And for the record, I turned over the check, I no longer have the check.
February the 20th, you said?
Yes.
You get that recorded, Jan's got the check?
Yes, Jan has the check, to return it February 20th.
I have to give
Tomorrow
it to
we're gonna be
you on
saying, "Where's
February
Jan?"
20th.
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna email you some instructions, some mailing instructions.
Okay.
You're just gonna sign it over, and then we're gonna Federal Express it back, we've got a record of the transmission. I have you Federal Express it directly back to the underwriters.
Just
Do we have to have,
cash.
Oh, no,
And do not lose.
no.
I'm sorry, sir?
do we have another commissioner's court at closing, or?
No, sir.
That's not necessary.
No, sir. It's all on automatic after today. Mr. Pollen will take all the documents the court approves today, send it to the Attorney General's office, they'll review it for accuracy and compliance with law, and they will issue an approval. Once their approval has been issued, the bonds are incontestable from a state law perspective. And then we'll schedule closing and wire transfer the money to the bank about a week after we get AG approval.
The bonds are issued as tax exempt obligations. In Article 9 are the requirements to keep the certificates tax exempt. And it goes forward about saying certain things that you really don't want to do. And one is you're not going to get arbitrage, cause these things become arbitrage bonds. Work with the auditor and the treasurer to make sure your investment accounts, and unless the interest rate should just skyrocket, you're not gonna have an arbitrage issue.
But you do have to track those investment earnings and make the filings even though you're not earning any positive money.
And we've got to be able to track any interest you earn, so we've got to have those records, and everything that goes out, we need to show what's going out of the construction fund. So
Okay.
you will set up a construction fund, and we've
I
got to
see
track
that
all
right
the
here.
in and out. And so the other big issue is you're not going to let these bonds become private activity bonds. That would happen if you took one of the things we financed and you turned it over to a private entity to operate or own. So if you decided you were gonna move out of this complex and sell it to somebody else, that is a change of use that you can't do, except that we jump through a lot of hoops. And that should happen, which I don't think it will. We'll help you through those hoops. But if there's any question, anytime, pick up the phone, because it's much better to address this at the beginning than later.
It can be solved if we address it in the beginning, and I don't want you to feel like you're hamstrung to own this building forever because you finance with taxes at proceeds. You're not. If you decide 5 years from now to build a new county courthouse or county annex, and you want to sell this, we can sell it. We just have to track the money, pay off a pro rata share of these taxes and bonds. They're just hoops you have to go through. We can do it, but we just have to do it correctly.
Or somebody has to come to town and want to buy
Right.
a judicial complex.
Yeah.
Well, they may turn it into a hotel if you keep your oil coming. The other thing is in section 905. This is something which financial advisor will assist you with. You have to make annual filings of, we're setting it up, so you're making, right now, filing of your financial. But
And I'm gonna harp on this for just a second, because we had this problem last fall, which you might recall, Judge. Under the Securities Exchange Commission Rule 15C212, and that's the continuing disclosure requirements under 9.05 that Mr. Paul's talking about, we have to provide updated financial information to the investing public no later than 6 months past the close of your fiscal year. You guys have had, quite frankly, a chronic problem of not getting your audits out until 8 or 9 months after the end of the fiscal year. We can no longer do that. You are coveting in this bond transaction that we're going to disseminate, financial information in a timely fashion. When you sign your new engagement letters with your outside auditors, you've got to insist that they have their audits, they have your audits completed. I would say, hopefully within 4 months or 120 days, but absolutely within 5 months or 150 days, because that will give us, the treasurer, the auditor, and myself, then 30 days after they've completed the audit for us to compile all the information that we have to do to meet this Securities Exchange Commission
not only do
disclosures.
you need to insist on that with the auditor, you need to put that into the contract.
Put it in your engagement letter. It's got to say, in the engagement letter.
I think that's been addressed, but it would have been, Verna that did it, but,
Yes, sir.
but I think it's been addressed and,
Okay.
but
I had
you can check on
a
it.
situation, last year, I issued bonds for a county that we could have issued 3 years earlier. But the county was that far behind on the audit, that we could not issue.
Mhm.
Well, Vern was talking about the 2013 audit not being ready for March 31st. That won't work.
Well, that's where I think it got addressed.
Well,
We went through that early this year, and then I think, but we'll check and make sure.
It could be in the change of auditor somehow
Does
that
it-
something fell, but I know she was aggressively addressing
but
that.
we've got.
Did you make a notice
Yes,
for
sir.
the contract?
Yes.
Yeah, that will put
Yeah,
it.
we've got to have the 2013 audit accepted by this court by no later than your last meeting in March. And we've got to get, that means, you know, Tom and I are gonna have to jump through some hoops to meet March 31st. But by March 31st, we gotta have filings with the Securities Exchange Commission. So we can't wait, you know, April the 2nd or 3rd won't cut it. Even March 27th or 8th won't cut it. You know, we've gotta have it in March so that we can have those filings in by March 31st.
And
Of
if
this
you
year.
do not have,
This
you've
year.
got to file an audit.
Well, you're the boss, stick to them.
Oh,
Make them do
That's
it.
up to
It doesn't
him.
give you much time, it gives you 1 week if it's the 24th, no, the 24th.
Now, if we get on the tenth,
Yeah, then you've got,
present it to court on the tenth.
yeah, then you've got the balance of the month. 3 weeks.
Right.
There are also requirements called event notices that we'll have to comply with. If for some reason you accidentally are late or miss a payment, you've got to disclose that. Same way, if you decide you get down and you're going to prepay some of these bonds when they get to be callable, we have to file a notice the same way with that. So it's all set out there in subparagraph C. But those are the basic issues that we'll be facing. I'm available to take any calls to help you through it, probably in the same position, so.
And in my absence, Dusty Trevor.
And what?
And in my absence, if you can't catch me, I'll call Dusty Trevor.
Okay. Anything else?
He should be a cowboy star, anybody named Dusty Trevor.
We've got a school superintendent down in the valley who refuses to call him Dusty Trevor, he calls him Squeaky Wheel instead.
Well, are we ready to take a vote on this? The motion to go out for the obligations to this?
If you read just the caption of the order.
Okay. An order authorizing the issuance of $8,215,000 Wilson County, Texas, combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, series 2014. And that, motion, Commissioner Wiley, second, Commissioner Morales, all in favor?
All right.
How about you, Al?
Alberta.
Okay, which is the original? Do you have the original?
I've
Which I
got
just
them
sent?
right here. We'd have had them sign several of them.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna put the official adoption time at 3:31. Under the new Securities Exchange rules, we have to specify the exact time that the commissioners vote on.
You must have a Timex too, mine's 3:31.
Well, I have this satellite TV, not TV. Satellite gives you the time on your phone.
This, the document for the treasurer to start signing, the judge and the clerk will also need to sign it.
When was construction, could we be able to start construction? Do I have it?
You're gonna have money in the bank on February the 20th, so
Lead time after that?
and you can start spending money today, because if they broke ground today, you're not gonna get a bill for 30
If
days
you want to
anyway.
use this one,
I would recommend we get through the AG process.
No, I know.
That's only about 3 weeks. Now, there's some, I don't know if Tom mentioned this or not, but another thing to make sure that you don't run afoul of the arbitrage laws is that we need to spend all of this money within 36 months of the closing date, or 3 years. So, I know we're doing this in phases, and the library phase, I think, is gonna be the last phase, right?
Correct.
So we just need to make sure we're wrapped up with the library and spent that money within 3 years. Now, based on all our conversations, I don't think that's gonna be a problem, but
So we've got, I've claimed the 2-year exception in the document for construction projects, but we will still need, you'll have 3 years we will you don't have to really worry about the arbitrage. If we head beyond that second year, we're gonna want you to yield restrict, just in case interest rates start to spike up. So we just gotta keep the interest you're earning not to exceed the interest you're earning, the interest that you're paying on the bonds.
There's not much interest being earned right now in that.
That's fine.
Like that you just-
I'd love to get 3.5% on a CD or something.
This money,
We'll just buy these.
okay, I guess we didn't.
I forgot my checkbook.
Worry about the
I
interest.
should have done that.
Get on this one, because we can't do any more interest in this.
Well, actually, your arbitrage yield is 2.875, it's a little less than that, but you're not gonna get that.
So can we put some of that, get a little bit more?
Oh, yeah.
Can, will you help us with that?
I'll help you do that, but we gotta make sure we have a good construction schedule with the
Yes.
architect, so
Yes.
it's liquid when you need the money.
Yes, exactly right, that's what I wanted to talk to you. You have to do that with liquids.
What's, text pool paying?
Text pool right now is only paying about,
Three-quarters.
Yeah.
8 basis points, not even
Yeah.
1/10 of
Yeah,
1%.
it's poor, it's poor.
So, we just went through, I happen to be the financial advisor at Dallas ISD, and we just went through with $140 million, trying to figure out how to, you know, jump through 9 million different kinds of hoops, trying to figure out how to do it. We still only got it about 40 basis points, not even 1/2 of 1%. It's just a very difficult market to be trying to invest
Yes,
money.
yes, yes. Oh, the judge knew what he knew.
Yeah. We're good. We're good.
Well, judges got that kind of thing.
I put every other one, I put Paul Wiley. Larry Wiley.
This, you belong to
What is it, a rep?
two
A raffle?
Two of these.
Yeah.
And then over
Right here
here
is the sun
will
ring.
be the definitive. And it's just the form that should be sent to the class.
Okay, so this will be right here. I'm sure there's
We'll send you a definitive, we'll do the treasurer definitive debt service schedule, that shows the principal and interest.
I've got some more for you.
Thank you. We'll be in contact.
Oh, yeah.
In about 10 days to get wiring instructions to the bank accounts. We didn't get quite that cheap of money on your jail.
No?
It wasn't bad, I think we're under 5% on your jail.
I'm ready to
Under
see
the
or hear
abstention, do I put
some
one or
instruction, some,
Big
Ma'am?
something
Here.
being knocked
abstention?
down or.
Do I put?
Digging the fence off around the court.
Because he's just absent.
to,
He's not.
maybe you've been, because you've been in these conversations in that house.
I don't know.
There's been
He
a
didn't
conversation
say, he just
about
said
the
he
parking
would
on
be-
the side over here. And we had discussed that the county, that we might participate in that, and also this parking lot.
Well, maybe we'll get as lucky on construction bids as we got on interest rates.
That'd be good. You know, we got a correspondence from the state today, the historical people. And as far as I got on it, it looks like that they want to fund us that original,
Right.
like the 800,000.
Really?
But, and I guess it's kind of a neat thing, that if you're gonna apply for more, you're gonna have to jump through some additional hoops. So, we may end up getting down to the animal thing after all.
Oh, that'd be good. Wouldn't that be great for, well, you never know, you know, you assume that you're gonna spend everything that you have and have to come up with some, if it's anything like the houses I've built. But at the same time, there may be
Just try to get
situations
my
like
rider on
this.
this, we don't have to bring our wives.
That's exactly right.
You know, Judge, I thought that, but I had to listen not to actually say it.
But, you know, on a job like this, there may not be overruns.
It
It
goes
might,
in this.
we might
folder.
actually end up,
What's inside?
you know, 200, you know, on $8.5 million, we could end up several $100,000. Hundred. And then,
Well, we tried to build some contingencies into this. But, you know, with all this Eagle for Sale stuff, the construction is just really hit and miss. I mean, sometimes people are way under budget because there's a lot of contractors in the area that are between jobs, and other times you can't hardly get back to bid because there's so many construction.
You know, it has such an effect on so many things, unemployment, and everything else, you know, I mean, it's like, you hear all this talking about master plans, strategic plans, and all this, and which is great, but the face of things changes pretty rapidly now.
They do, they really do. Well, guys, if y'all don't mind, Mr. Collins is quite adept at documents. I may start heading to Austin.
that's
Yes,
up to him.
take the toll road.
I'm gonna do it.
I'll try
They don't run
it.
radar, you got DPS guarantee it.
Go through the beautiful city of Sandville, take 123.
I'll stop by and say hello to Ray while I'm in the neighborhood.
You know, you can even, shorten that.
Seguin, go through Seguin.
Whenever,
That's where it's
One twenty-three.
He's
Whenever
gonna go
you,
123 and he's gonna take the
cross
toll
the
road.
Cibolo Bridge, headed towards Stockdale, the first road, is a paved road, County Road 417. Take that.
Turn
you'll
left there?
Turn left
Yeah, turn
there,
left there.
it'll take you to 123, it's just a 3-mile shot. Turn left on 123 and you'll miss all the traffic congestion in downtown Stockdale.
Well, I saw a bunch of traffic.
At the blinking light.
I saw a bunch of traffic turning on that newly constructed road. I thought, where the heck all those people were?
Well,
The one twenty-three.
Try to avoid-
Speed, it's
it's
forty-five.
a poorly constructed road.
That's better.
Mr. Commissioner.
At least they upped the speed limit from 30 to 45.
Well,
Actually, it's holding up better than the
I-
road
I-
to Stockdale.
I got a letter from DPS, and I'm gonna have to protest it. They said I've got 2 points or 4 points, I forget exactly, on my record. I'm going, wait a minute, I pay lawyers and I get deferred adjudication. How are these points showing up on my DPS record? Can you answer that, Sheriff?
You need to ask your lawyer.
I have not been convicted of anything.
Yeah, what he did with that money you
Apparently,
paid.
he did.
Ask him what he did with that money you paid.
All right, with y'all's permission, I'm gonna take off. Have we
Thank
officially
you,
adjourned?
safe trip.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Took out a couple of forks through here.
But you pull out $8 million.
What does it take a county to have an A plus
To renew, they charge you $1.
Bigger size,
You
bigger?
need to be a little bigger,
Yeah, renew, you have to get
you
mine
need
expired Thursday.
you need to issue a few more bond issues.
So we don't ever wanna get that. That's what I'm.
Because rating agencies don't really know you except when you walk in to issue. So
Be
it
as old
needs
as
to be
Ricky
aged
before long.
really
6
good,
years?
really good.
Yeah.
And now I'm ready to-
Okay.
Now you're gonna give me one
That,
copy of everything?
Presentation, we went to.
Yeah, as soon as the Attorney General approves it, I'll
Okay,
send
and you'll
really
give me-
one original of everything.
Okay.
In November.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I mentioned to him, just for all these paperwork, they want to get out, but something like that, if they would just,
I also provided yes, too, so
and just put it online, then you could sit there and watch that, and it would have been helpful.
That's good for you to sign. Sure, you may want to to check these and make sure we didn't miss anybody, I think we've got.
Today? No, I haven't looked at, when did you send it?
All right, before we got there.
You know, the company that bought these, the underwriter,
Oh,
Mr. Ramirez.
Clear. This morning, I came over.
that's
Mm.
no.
He works for the underwriter.
Conversation.
Actually, told you about that.
So did you go to the food show on Friday? They have good turnout.
Is that a true statement, so we can start doing that? Okay.
Yes, we did.
So that, just shoot, at least an email, that speaks together.
No way. Need to sign something tonight?
The notary will be right next door.
Right.
That's
You
a work, per workday, that's not a.
Oh, yeah, she may be.
48 weeks.
That's her.
And then when he takes a
And then there'll be
vacation,
one more place, I think, Judge, you need to sign there.
yeah,
also.
that's,
Charge you $3 for personal use of a vehicle.
Sure.
That's what we have to charge.
No,
No, we have to.
No, I'm just
No, I'm saying, I would assume it would be on your work days.
yeah, that's how it's been in the past.
Yeah, it would always be the work days.
And so if you're not, if you park the vehicle,
Right, just park at the yard or park at the house.
then you don't do it.
Tom, John, we,
What?
And I need to do what? I need to contact you.
she put some business in there over time. Yeah, we got one more on the French benefit deal we got now.
Who is that?
And then
John, I need,
John?
yeah,
Okay.
I'll talk with John and just make
You
certain.
don't have any yearly, you do before maybe I'll take a vehicle home with you.
Okay.
Just need to get the notary.
This is on the same, you know, right?
Yes.
She's coming to the post office.
Ricky, I like the little thing on the side of your truck. It says you're a commissioner. It's a little dusty, but it looks good. I inspected it for you.
Ricky has to have that so he can remember what he does.
I saw he had a shirt with his name and everything, like, earlier today. I like that shirt you had on.
Thank you.
It was very nice.
I thought you'd like that. I get you.
Tom, I wanted to ask you, I think you had asked me, on the landfill contract, I don't know if y'all do it, or
That's right.
you're doing it, right, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure that, you
Yeah,
had asked me at
yeah,
one time, or
yeah.
actually Chuck had asked me at one time, and I wasn't sure.
I asked Chuck, I asked him again.
Okay.
And then when I
So
talked
Kathy
to you,
doing
you
it,
sent
okay.
me.
It's already done.
Okay, no, I wanna make sure that I didn't drop the ball.
Yeah, no, it's all already done.
They can get it. But the cops can get it.
Not to tell Bob.
People probably have trouble remembering the generations of lost through the train. They haven't got the
He
time.
remembers.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Who's that?
Because most of my uncle bought 1,000 acres from me. I learned that out last week. Visit with
Well,
them.
very plain, long time
You make that 20.
See a judge, it's just a attorney. Yeah, no, it's her grandfather.
The only judge.
If you could, but if you go to the, but if it's so, it's late.
Well, it depends on what he did.
No, you said earlier, you have three commissioners voted for it, right, Jerry?
You have to put three members of
Why
the
it's
court.
actually in Hamilton County.
Judge.
Better be good. Benefits and all that.
You did, but
Your district is state.
this guy, I don't know what.
And
Yes.
Okay.
it doesn't have
Oh, really?
well, because you don't have more confusion, you know.
That's right.
3:47, Wood County Commission Court meeting is adjourned.